Welcome back, boys. Today we have one from Psych Hacks, Passport Bros, and International Dating. Alright, let's check it out.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is Passport Bros and International Dating. So this is a topic that has come up frequently in the comments of several of my videos, and it's a topic that I've been requested to discuss by many people over the last several months. If you're unfamiliar with the subject, Passport Bros is the collective term for a movement among Western and specifically American men who are increasingly pursuing mating and dating opportunities abroad. These are guys who are flying to places like South America and South.
The main reason you go is the financial aspects. Not to find women. Women are just a bonus, but like living in these places, you can live very well with the same amount of money. Because in the West, it's getting shittier and shittier.
Southeast Asia and the Middle East in order to access sexual opportunities that they argue aren't available in their home country. And I'm going to respond to this phenomenon through the lens of my recent experiences spending a month in the country of Japan. Now, I'm not very knowledgeable about this phenomenon, but to be honest, there was always something about the Passport Bros movement that felt a little sleazy and pathetic. Without really examining it, my perspective was similar to the prevailing attitude, which was something like this movement was for guys who were too low status or unattractive to beat out their intrasexual competition here.
How is that? You have the financial ability to move countries and live a better life. That's not really a loser.
They couldn't get laid in the States.
Of course, there are some losers that do this and they get completely screwed over. But that's kind of what you deserve if you're an idiot.
So they basically engage in geo-arbitrage to leverage a relative advantage that wouldn't exist in their home country. My attitude was something like only guys who couldn't get what they want from women here would need to uproot their whole lives and travel halfway around the world, which kind of made these men out to be conniving beta males. That was my attitude before spending a month in Japan. That is no longer my attitude now. Having spent a month in that country, I think I better understand where this movement might be coming from. And I definitely don't think it's just for loser men who can't get laid in America. Allow me to explain. From the perspective of my interests and preferences, the quality of the women in Japan was significantly superior to the quality of the women in the Bay Area.
Wow, shocking.
Not by a little, by orders of magnitude. Let me break down some of the various factors that go into that statement. First of all, the women in Japan are slender and physically healthy. I spent a month in some of the largest cities in the world, and I must have seen 10 overweight women in that entire time, half of whom were little old ladies. And these overweight women weren't morbidly obese. They were like plump, maybe 20 or 30 pounds overweight max. Most Western women literally couldn't buy clothes in Japan. The vast majority of Japanese women are slender and physically fit, which is appealing because it's not only attractive, but it indicates a compatible value as well. Like, I want people who care about their health. Second, these women are feminine. They wear dresses and heels and makeup.
They wear, let me guess, like something like dresses, like what, floral dresses or something? They're not.
They tend to dress more conservatively than Western women. No tight clothes, no showing a lot of skin.
I remember a long time ago, I saw like a video where a dude was training in the gym. Or no, there was a girl training in the gym. And she got like called out because she wore too revealing clothes. The gyms in Japan, the women, they cover like everything up.
Feminine ideal there seems to be like softly elegant, flowing and modest and dignified. And these aren't 1950s house.
Yeah, the women there probably don't shout and curse and
wives. These are women who, for the most part, are working professionals. They have modern ideas. They are educated and accomplished, but they haven't thrown out more traditional conceptualizations of female beauty. This is not something you can easily find in the West anymore, and you can't find it at all in the Bay Area, at all. And I find feminine women very attractive.
I do too, but I see here, oof, very, very rare you see one.
Resonates.
And they're always foreign. I noticed that.
With me and inspires me to be even more masculine. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message, because it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. You can also hit the thanks button and tip me in proportion to the value you feel you derive from this episode. It's your donations that make all this possible. I don't do the product placements and the corporate sponsorships of other channels. Respectful. Third, the women in Japan are extremely respectful.
Wow. Like how far? How far? No. How far have Western women fallen? That like just basic respect is like a luxury now. I noticed that these women, like you give them a little and they start like disrespecting you like fucking crazy for nothing. Of course, I would say most of the women I've dealt with are very low quality compared to what I've been going into now, with mainly foreign women. Although I am in the West, I mainly only deal with foreign women. I notice they are so much better. Women from Poland, women from hell, what he's talking about. I met a Japanese girl. Even met some girls from Mexico and stuff like that. Sweet girls. I think it's because they have like good families and stuff like that too.
Every woman I interacted with there was extremely warm and friendly. They were receptive to conversation, and they seemed to enjoy, or at least very effectively pretended to enjoy, speaking with me.
Yeah, with me too. Now I don't think they the women I approach pretend. I hope not, but it's I have never had like a bad experience with foreign women. It's only these Western women I have a fucking problem with.
Even more, they were solicitous about my feelings and seemed concerned that I should enjoy the interaction as well. I didn't experience a single indifferent or disrespectful word, tone, or glance from a woman in a month.
Wow. Me, I see this. I experience that shit like every week. Go on the damn bus or walk down the street. You have some woman having a fucking problem with you, looking at you like goddamn, they look at you like, they look at you like that. Woman, stay away.
This made approaching and talking to women in Japan a much less fraught experience than it is in the US. The women I spoke to seemed to take pleasure in the attention and in the dialogue. Nothing about the interaction indicated that they were annoyed or offended that I was interested in talking to them. Fourth, while a kind of chivalry exists in Japan, it's an inverted version of what we have here. In Japan, men come first, women come second. It's difficult to appreciate how deeply the romantic ideology permeates our manners until you go to a completely different culture. For instance, one day I was walking towards the main entrance of a building at pretty much the same time as a woman. My natural instinct was to get there first and hold the door open for her. However, when I did so, she refused to walk through it, making a show of great embarrassment. And I later realized that in that culture, it would have been embarrassing for her if I had allowed myself to disrespect myself in that way for her sake. Another example. Many years ago, I spent some weeks in Japan studying Buto dance in an
It was basically like a simp behavior thing.
Immersive program. The first night of the program, at the General Assembly, we heard a long speech on how the organizers miscalculated the number of futons they needed for the students. Apparently, there would not be enough beds for everyone, so the women would have to sleep on the bare floor without cushions or sheets until the problem was rectified. Now, there were a couple other Westerners in the audience, and I remember we were just looking at each other in disbelief. To say we were shocked would not be an understatement. the idea that the women were going to sleep on the ground while the men were going to sleep in the beds felt completely unnatural.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about Japanese culture, or I learned about it, but there's so many different cultural like differences that like I have no idea. I almost have to go there and learn about it.
Natural to us. However, our way of doing things is just as unnatural to Japanese sensibilities. That's starting to change more and more as Western ideologies continue to infiltrate Japanese society. But the important thing here is to understand that a lot of what many people believe to be the natural dynamic between men and women is really very culturally bounded and culturally specific. And to be honest, it felt good to be honored for being a man. Like, it's not a bad thing to be a man in Japan. In fact, it seems to come with some privileges that are more commensurate to the responsibilities that men generally take on. So let's recap. On the whole, Japanese women are slender and physically fit, feminine and demure, friendly and courteous, and respectful and appreciative. Not all Japanese women, I'm sure, but the vast majority of them, as far as I could tell. When I spoke with them, the feeling I got was that they felt lucky to be interacting with me, which is a total reversal of the attitude you generally encounter in the West. I've gone on a lot of dates in my day, and the prevailing vibes were either A, that I should feel lucky that the woman was allowing me to buy her a drink, or B, that the woman needed to make sure I could give her what she wanted by conducting the date like a job interview. There's a lot of entitlement and narcissism here. It's all about her. On the other hand, my sense is that
in overseas, they are grateful for your time, and they don't want to fucking extract every single fucking dollar out of you.
In Japan, women feel grateful for the opportunity to be there, grateful for the
What I said.
opportunity to be considered as a potential partner. It was extremely refreshing, to say the least.
Holy shit! I need to at least take a vacation. I hear. I mean, there's so many like good ones. The one I'm most interested in is Poland, actually. Poland, I'm interested in, but I hear good things about Romania. But there's been like a change. It was maybe the best one like 10 years ago, but things are happening with like politics and shit over there. I haven't really paid attention, but Japan is a good one too, and of course Southeast Asia is popular also. But we can maybe look into that some more if you want.
Now, I'm not a fragile guy. I'm not a loser who can't get laid. I'm not poor or low status or unattractive. I'm not a guy without options. I don't need to travel halfway around the world to have satisfying relationships with women. But I now understand why it's in men's best interest to seek out the most advantageous marketplaces. It's like, regardless of whether you're a novice or a master fisherman, if you want to catch a certain kind of fish, it makes sense to go where there are more of those fishes. High-value men who have lots of sexual opportunity in the West will still travel to other places where they can get more of what they want more easily. That's not pathetic. That's rational and efficient. Even millionaires don't like paying more than they need to, even though they could afford to do so. And Western women are extremely expensive. Men here generally have to pay more for less relative to other marketplaces. So I'm much more sympathetic to this movement after...
But you have to remember the financial aspect I told you about. If you have money in from the West and you move to one of these countries, you're good. Like Southeast Asia, you can live pretty cheaply there. Like, I'm talking about live, not survive, live.
Spending a month abroad. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below.
Let's check some comments. Men as a collective simply can't work with women who don't want to work with them. I'm seeing passport bros across all male demographics, regardless of race, socioeconomic position. So we can't just say it's losers and incels having this problem. Gaslighting men doesn't fix the issue, but forces them to find more extreme measures of adapting. Yeah, there's many like I see that there's a lot of black guys. They go to countries in Africa. I can't remember which ones. Um, but yeah, there's countries in Africa for black guys, and they're good there. There's I mean, for Europeans, there's yeah, Poland, Romania, stuff like that. And of course, if like you go where your preference is. If you want to go to Southeast Asia, you do it. But you can't be like a. The thing is, you have to work on yourself. If you can't get women in the West, it doesn't fucking help to go overseas because you're still a loser. You still bring your problems with you. So make sure to take care of yourself. Eat healthy. Go to the gym. Become like a good man. I'm 45 and time is running out, so I booked an overseas trip next month. No sense doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. Let's see what happens. Married a Japanese woman for 17 years now. I was back in Tokyo this past summer and seeing so many slim women in dresses is indeed a culture shock. In general, they have access to food that is cheaper and high quality while having very little sugar. Add this that they walk nearly everywhere. An interesting note is that Japanese women will expect to run the finances in the home. Yeah, I don't know about that one, but yeah, this one was good. We can, yeah, I really like it. Let me know what you guys think. And I think I'll see you on the next one. Peace.